of the alcohol. La 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all. La 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody, welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 255 back.
255.
Yeah.
Hey, CD. You blow out your mic. The last two times you've done it, you've like blown out your mic when you do that. You're like,
Yeah, really?
yeah, you go, hey, and it just like goes, bleh.
All right.
Oh, hey, Wings Cook.
Excuse me.
Not enough lemonade?
Yeah, not enough. It is, 255, guys. Welcome back again to our illustrious virtual nerd basement. It is great to be here. It has been a week.
It has been.
I got my booster yesterday.
I got mine last Thursday.
Yeah, I felt like butt all day today. It's weird. It's not like I felt. I mean, I'm still kind of getting over the last remnants, last gasps, last coughs of this
level up, yes.
Cold. Yeah. So I've been, kind of feeling under the weather for a good 2 weeks now. I'm finally kind of in the home stretch of getting better, and then I get my booster yesterday, and and it took me out. Like it didn't kick in until probably my sleep schedule is way off. I'm a total vampire right now. But right around 3 a.m. I think it was, I started feeling like I'm exhausted. It just
What time did you get it?
1.
Okay. So it was only a couple hours. For me, it was several hours later that I started feeling kind of crappy.
Like 3 in the morning.
Oh, 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I got it about 1 in the afternoon. About 3 in the morning, I think I started going. I'm feeling kind of shitty.
Yeah, for me, it was about 6 hours later.
I went to bed, and then I woke up at noon, and I kind of went, nope, and I went back to bed. And kind of laid in bed, and I didn't really even sleep deeply. I just kind of dozed most of the afternoon, and just
yeah. How's your arm feel? Did it hurt more than the other
sore
ones?
as fuck?
Yeah.
It hurt a little bit more. The first two shots. I don't know if it's because I got them at Kobo where they were doing hundreds of them at a time. So the girls just like the nurses were like, but man, they were experts. They're perfect. I didn't feel a goddamn thing either time. I got it at Kroger, and the guy gave it to me, and it didn't hurt really, but I felt the prick, and then I got,
Hey, he's just doing his job, man.
Right. It shouldn't be so hard on the prick. But I felt it more so, and excuse me. And it's sore. It's actually, I think it's more sore this time than it was last time.
See, I got all of mine at Kroger, but there was 2 different Krogers. So I got my regular ones at one of the Krogers, and that was great. Really didn't feel them much. There was a little bit of soreness, but I just kept my arm moving, and everything was fine. And then this one, it was at a different Kroger, and it hurt more when I got the shot. Granted, it was also a different brand. I got Moderna for my booster, and I had Pfizer.
You were the one that was telling me that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was probably that some people have suggested that it's a good idea to get the other.
Yeah, that's what a lot of reports are saying, but also others are saying, it doesn't really matter, but it doesn't hurt. You know, it's one of those things where it might help, but it doesn't hurt. So, but everyone I've talked to that has had the Pfizer shots and gotten Moderna has had the biggest immunoresponse. And I was reading that's actually one of the big reports too, is that's what they're seeing, is that those are the people that are getting the biggest immunoresponse. Since I got it, I have been tired as hell. I just can't get enough sleep. It doesn't matter how many hours I sleep, I still want more sleep.
It sounds about right.
I was about ready to take a 10-minute nap before our show tonight, and I'm like, nope, not going to get that in.
Yeah, I was just sleepy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. This is the one with the chip in it. So
yeah, see, that's what it is.
Yeah, I still want my goddamn force powers though.
You know, where is my telekinesis? Damn it! I want to get. I'm waiting on superpowers for a long fucking time. I thought this was it. This was the time, but no. How's the rest of your week?
Not too bad. You know, curling, that kind of thing. Had my other game on Saturday, my other D&D game, so that was fun. No midichlorians. No.
Bit of what?
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, just been working, doing all my usual stuff. So
bitchin'.
There was something I was going to talk about from this week, and I don't remember what it was now. Completely out of my head. I'll probably remember it in about 5 minutes.
You'll remember.
Yeah.
Because I'm, it's my between, work time. I just kind of, and I, like I said, I was just still kind of recovering and sick and stuff. Like I tried to get a few things accomplished last week. Didn't. No, I got a couple of things. Got some work done around the house. I've been working, honestly, I've been working a lot on reorganizing the old comic books. It is particularly if you let it go for as long as I have, it is a long process.
Becomes a daunting task.
It is, because it's not just a matter of putting them in their boxes. It's a matter of putting them in their boxes and then reorganizing them and organizing and making sure that they're all a finished series is then now in an archival box and things like that. It's just every time I do it, because I end up going too long. I go like 18 months or 2 years between doing it, and I've got huge stacks of comics to put away. And I actually went to a comic shop nearby. There's a newer shop down at Grand River and pretty much I-75, and it's great. It's the Vault of Midnight. The Vault of Midnight comic shop was kind of this infamous comic shop out in Ann Arbor, and they made a satellite store here out in Detroit, and it was further downtown. And they more recently, I think within the last 6 months, moved to Grand River, and it's a little more of it's easier access to the freeway, and it's just easier to get there. But it is a gorgeous shop. I mean, one of the prettiest comic book shops I've ever been in, and just absolutely gorgeous. But a friend of mine suggested I check it out. So it's kind of become my secondary shop now, because I still go to my shop out in Garden City. But I swung in there to get some comic book boxes, and I ended up picking up this.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. The first one, Jester. The first one came out, the Mighty Nine Origins graphic novels. They are hardcover. This is for Jester Lavore. The next one coming out is for Caleb, and then Yasha. They have also just announced the one for Ford as well. That's going to be coming out later in this summer, I believe. But it was just announced. So I haven't read it yet. I've paged through it. It's the artwork is was beautiful. It's really well done. It very well captures the like young Jester. Like there's a little bit of her as a little girl, and then kind of like her first kind of adventure, and it's got her mom in it, and the Minotaur blood that kind of hangs out.
The bodyguard.
The bodyguard, and the traveler, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Marianne Lavore, and
read us a story, Russ.
but the work is really great. The artwork is really beautiful, nice stuff. So
cool.
It is let's see, well, co-written. I think it looks like Laura Bailey gets a writer's credit. Yeah, written by Sam Maggs with Laura Bailey and Matt Mercer of Critical Role. Art by Hunter Severin Banyan. Colors by Kathy Lee. So I would check it out, guys. It's from Dark Horse Publishing, and if you are into Critical Role, this is a great little gift, particularly, or for somebody that is into Critical Role.
Yeah, I want to get that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get them all. I would imagine there'll probably be a box set later on, or a collected edition of all of them. But it's for a hardcover graphic novel. It's reasonably priced at $17.99. You might be able to pick it up on Amazon for a scotch cheaper.
$15.50 on Amazon right now.
There you go. Which is actually, it's not. I mean, it's about the size of two comic books, about the length of two comic books. So if it was like a comic, maybe a comic book and a half, really, because comic books are generally 22 pages of story. There's no ads in this, so you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not gonna count them all right now, but if there's more than 22. Yeah. Let's see. It says there are 56 pages, numbered pages here. So roughly, I'd say if this was a comic book series, it would be probably 2 to 3 issues at about $4 to $5 bucks a piece. You're looking at roughly $15, give or take. So it's not terrible. It's a hardcover. So yeah, check it out, guys. Mighty Nine Origins, Jester Lavore. We are not sponsored by them. So
no.
Take that as you will. But we do love our Critical Role. So
yes, we do.
Yeah, other than that, getting my booster. We're back to rehearsing again for the murder mystery show. We took a couple of weeks off, one for the holiday, and then the 6th we couldn't rehearse because our rehearsal space was being used. We rehearsed at a Mason's Lodge right at 11 in Gratiot, so it was being used the whole.
Oh, I know where that is. That's right by my house, right by my old house.
Yep, not far at all. And I tell you, being in a Mason Lodge when there's not Mason stuff going on, a little weird.
Yeah,
that's a little weird. Yeah, one of the guys, our sound guy, is actually a master Mason. So he's one of and his father is the guy that maintains the building, I guess, or whatever. So he lets us use the space for a couple hours, just to kind of rehearse. And every once in a while we'll peek in the closets a little bit, or we'll look around. It's a little fucking weird.
You've done Theater Bizarre for years at the Masonic Temple. That's like the biggest Mason Lodge that there is in this area.
Yes, we do. And the thing is, though, we don't, any of the kind of Masony kind of stuff is kind of tucked away in offices that are locked and things like that. So, yes, we're in the building, and there are little bits here and there that we see that's kind of like, oh, that's weird, but I don't know, just like I said, I peeked in a couple of closets and saw their ceremonial robes and shit that they wear, and it's fucking strange. Like, oh, that's a crown. Why are they wearing a crown? It's just strange.
Masons have always intrigued me. I've always been interested.
Yeah, it's an intriguing kind of thing. It's still weird though. Oh man.
I know it's one of those things. I believe that it's the only way to get into the Masons is to ask a Mason if you can join. They're not allowed to actually ask you.
Yeah, you have to seek it out. So I have also been playing a lot of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I got to tell you, this is one of the best games of its type I've played in forever. It's fantastic. The storyline is great. I've been talking about it before. It does, I believe it's getting ported to the next gen systems and to like PS4 and 5 in like the spring. So if you don't want to play it on your computer, which I highly recommend, it's really is the kind of game that's best for computer play. I feel it's really, really great. I like that it is you can switch from real time to turn by turn. So combat becomes a lot more manageable because there are times, man, you're fighting Baylors and stuff. Like my characters just all hit they all hit 17th level. So they're pretty powerful at this point. But still, you get into a fight with like several more, seriously powered demons. It's good that you kind of want that turn by turn so you can kind of see what the fuck you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's my phone, of course. And but it is just a spectacularly good game. I'm in the last couple of chapters, I guess, because it's divided up into chapters. Not in quite the end game yet, but I'm getting there. And Stella asked me if I'm going to play it again right after. I go, no, I'll probably give it some time. But I'm definitely looking for it because you can create any character class that is established in Pathfinder, and that's a lot. There's like 60 of them. It's crazy because each standard class, like cleric, fighter, mage, whatever, has 4 subclasses that you can choose. So you can be just a straight cleric, or you can be, a subclass of said cleric. You can be a paladin, or you can be an inquisitor. You can be one of the characters that they give you is a monk, and he's a Zen archer. So he's a monk that specializes in archery. There is the mage, the mage character that they, because there's a shit ton of NPCs that you can choose to use, right? And the mage NPC is a scroll specialist, I guess, or something. So she gets bonuses to casting spells via scroll, using scrolls and wands, I guess. Not that I end up using them all the way. And she's a Kitsu. So yeah, there's for every, and they've got some fairly obscure character classes too, like the Oracle, which is kind of, which is kind of a sorcerer, but for magic, but for, holy magic instead of regular magic. So, and there's romance options. There's, like I said, just really, really awesome stuff. And the decisions you make throughout the game affect your end game. I just encountered a thing last night when I was playing. I was like, oh, no, made the wrong decision, or made a decision that affected what I could do later on. So, but yeah, like I said, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Check it out,
That's
guys.
Cool.
Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. They've been Owlcat Games have been really keeping up on the patching and stuff, making sure that it is a really, just making adjustments, making changes to and updates. There's been a couple of small content like DLC kind of stuff, basically just and they were free. I think it was free. So yeah, some really great stuff. And I recommend the game that came before it, which is Kingmaker, which is, this is not a direct sequel, but it does take place in the same world in a similar time. In fact, Kingmaker is actually referenced at one point, a couple of points in the game. So what happens in Kingmaker, basically.
Okay, cool. I remember one of the things I was going to mention, and that is we have a new feature for subscribers if they want to use it. And that is, we have a private Discord server just for subscribers. The way that you would access that is you have to link your Twitch account with your Discord account to then be able to access the server. It should show right up as having access. But yeah, it's a place where if you want to talk with it, just hang out and chat with us. In between shows. I can't guarantee we'll always respond right away, but I will try and respond as quickly as possible if I can. If you're interested in that, you can also talk with other like-minded nerds in the nerd basement. So it's a way for you to hang out and talk nerdy when we're not on the show.
Talk nerdy to me, baby. So how do I join? Do I have to?
I sent you an invite because.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what that was. So that way you can join, and I can make you an admin, and then that way you and I are admins, and then Renee is on there, and so is Bob from Tavern Nights.
Okay. I think it went too long. It says invalid invite.
Yeah, it's probably it probably went more than a day. I'll get you invited though.
Okay, then just send me another one. And I will do that because I didn't notice.
There. I just sent you one.
All right. Joined. I'm in the nerd basement.
Yes. And I'll get your role set up and everything like that later. So
that shit.
I'm not going to do it during the show. But
no, let's not.
But no. And I want to mention that again later on. We'll mention that again before we sign off tonight. But yeah, if you are a subscriber, which granted, we don't have a lot of those yet, but we do have some CD. And you want to hang out and chat with us once in a while, just go ahead and link the account up and you should see it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, CD, in this game, you can dual class as well. So you can be a fighter mage. You can be, in fact, one of your subclasses is an Armiger Hell Knight, one of the NPCs. And yeah, sometimes the secondary classes are a little like, eh. Like, honestly, like Lan, who's the Zen archer. He's a hell of an archer. But, I mean, yeah, he can still fight with his hands, but he's so much more effective as an archer that a lot of the feats that he can get are just kind of like, nah. So I'm looking forward to kind of experimenting a little bit with some of these other character classes and seeing what I can do. And seeing, I mean, like I said, I've been playing a ranger, and it's cool because you get, depending the type of ranger I chose has an animal companion. And so you've got yourself, plus you have your own animal companion that you can that fights is with you as well. And then there's a paladin that's also an NPC, and she has a horse that horse will also fight, and they level up along with you. And so it's kind of cool to have these extra creatures that can fight. Hell, the Smilodon that I have as my animal companion does crazy amounts of damage. He's really cool. But some of them, yeah, like I said, like you were saying, some of the classes are a little not as well balanced as I'd like. So but the gameplay is very different depending on, like, if you are, like I said, my character's a ranger, so he usually fights at range with a bow and arrow, but he's also really good with a sword too. But gameplay is very different between like a ranged fighter with, like a ranger, or playing a barbarian or a paladin that gets up close and personal. So or a mage that is, all spells and stuff like that. So, and but the magic items too are really great too. I mean, I'm getting to a point I'm getting +5 items are getting dropped, and some pretty powerful shit. So, and then there's also the what's it called? Not the Inquisition. Basically the war part of it, where you have like troops that you're moving around as well. That's some pretty cool stuff too. So Crusade, part of the Crusade. So anyway, I don't want to get too much on this game, so it's a pretty great game.
Cool. What are you drinking?
I'm indulging in your wife's wonderful concoction, a punk lemonade tonight from Bee Nectar.
Good stuff.
Her hard cider with raspberry and lemon. It's one of my favorites. It really is great. Stella was like, "Hey, I'm getting out. I'm gonna. Did you want me to get you a drink for your show?" And I was lying in bed. I'm like, "Yeah." See if you can find me a punk lemonade. She's okay. So she got me. That's great. It's like, I love this stuff. Punk lemonade from Bee Nectar. One of the best stuff. One of the best products they've made in a long time, and we have your wife to thank for it.
Yes, that's her recipe. I am drinking a beer that Renee actually picked up tonight while she was at the store. It's one I've been looking at and thinking about picking up. because honestly, it's one of my favorite styles. But this is the Oktoberfest. It's a little late, but it's the Oktoberfest from Old Nation. They're best known for their M43 hazy pale ale. That's what the can looks like, just kind of plain. They just do stickers basically on a plain silver can. Um, it is 5.7% ABV and made at Old Nation Brewing Company in Williamston, Michigan. Um, it is a nice kind of a little bit of a red color, but it's mostly like a coppery color. It has just a small head. It has all malt aroma, which is good for this type of thing. Um, and I'll take another sip here. And I have to say, it's a pretty damn good Oktoberfest. I really like this. It's not overly sweet, which some of them can be. Because it's all malt flavor, a lot of times you get like that super sweetness from the malt, and it can be a little cloying.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't seem to be. There's a little bit on the end, but not too bad. I like this a lot. I would say I'll give this 3.75 bottle caps. This is a good representation. Might even be better if it's a little bit fresher. But yeah, Oktoberfest from Old Nation. Definite thumbs up if you see it. I don't know how widely they're distributed.
All right. An Oktoberfest and
Punk
Pumpkin
Lemonade. CD said he's drinking the peanut butter stout nitro from Left Hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm
not as good as the regular.
But I've known that you've talked about it a number of times. Yep. So
yeah, I actually have some of the peanut butter, and I also have the chocolate raspberry, I think, stout. I don't have the nitros. But yeah, I can see where that might remove some of the flavor, because with the nitro, you don't get quite as much of that aroma, because with the CO2, it's releasing the aroma at a faster pace than the nitro is a bunch of little tiny bubbles. And yeah, it should smooth it out. Oh, hey, Rich. Rich is on too.
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
So, but yeah, so definite thumbs up for both the things we're drinking tonight.
Excellent, fantabulous. All right, well, when we get into it,
yeah, let's get into it. First thing, we got to talk about the sad news from the weekend.
Sad news. Yeah.
The world lost Anne Rice. I read it was complications from a stroke.
Yes, that's what I heard as well. It was my housemate had. He's like, hey, I figured you probably heard about Anne Rice, and I kind of looked at him. I went, no, what about Anne Rice? And let me know. And then I let Stella know later, and we were both kind of like, it's a little stunning. But then when we realized she was 80 years old, I was kind of like, well, she's 80. I mean, she's not a young woman. So,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I read about it Saturday or Sunday morning. I don't remember which. My weekend kind of blended together.
Yeah.
But I read about it, and then Renee got up and said, "Hey, did you hear?" And I said, "Yeah, I just saw it on. I think it was on Twitter. I saw it." So, but yes, if you have lived under a rock for the last
40 years.
40 years, yeah.
I found out that Interview with the Vampire was originally originally published in 1976.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, she's the one that brought us Interview with the Vampire Lestat, The Body Thief,
Queen of the
Damned, that whole series of novels, along with several other novels too, I believe.
Correct.
that aren't nearly as famous, at least not in a lot of circles. So.
Right.
But yeah, very talented writer. I actually have never read any of her books.
I have read Interview, and I've read Lestat. They are, I thought I had copies, but I think they might have disappeared into the ether somewhere. They are good, but they are definitely, I don't see them up on the shelves anymore. I think something happened to the copies that I had. I had like a box set or something. Interview is a particularly depressing book. Like I believe she wrote Interview soon after her daughter died, and Claudia, the character of Claudia, is based on her daughter. And so it's a rough book, man. You know, I mean, it's good, but it's depressing. And then Lestat was she wrote that kind of as a palate cleanser, I guess. And if you see Interview with the Vampire, there are definitely elements of some of the other books in there, and then particularly if you see Queen of the Damned, there's a lot of the book The Vampire Lestat.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That was kind of like a mix up between the two.
There's a blend of the two, yeah, for sure. So I do highly recommend them, though. I mean, if you like vampire fiction, I mean, they are kind of there's a lot of vampire fiction that is made today has Anne Rice to thank for it.
Yes.
You know, the interview, the Vampire the Masquerade stuff, the Underworld, even Twilight has shades of Anne Rice's vampire stories in them. So I do recommend them, particularly if you like that particular kind of
that genre
of writing. But it's heavy. It's not a light, kind of thing. And then
Renee said The Mummy was one of her favorites, which I didn't even know she did one called The Mummy.
She did write a mummy book too. She also wrote some erotica under a different pen name, Anne Roquelaire. She was the Sleeping Beauty series, and it's basically an erotic take on Sleeping Beauty, and it's definitely it's not a romance novel. These are erotic fiction. This is straight up erotic fiction, and I haven't read all of it. I think I read like half of the first one, and at the time I was in my early 20s, and the girlfriend I was seeing at the time was like, "You got to read these," and I'm like, "All right," because they're very there's a lot of slap and tickle in those books, man. It's very a lot of bondage and submission and stuff, and like I said, also considered pretty good for what they were, but you also have to have a particular taste for them, though, So, but anyway, yeah. So she left us 80 years old. It sucks, but at least she wasn't 40.
Or
so
like
she lived,
Demaryius Thomas, who football player that just died at 33.
Yeah, holy crap,
So
it's tragic.
Right, so I'll raise my glass.
Yeah, raise your glass. I think
Rice.
Calls for a viewing of Interview with the Vampire pretty soon. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know that in an interview when she heard that they were casting Tom Cruise, that she was actually pissed. And
she was very pissed.
And then saw it and said he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, she completely reversed herself. She was like, you know what? I was wrong. He did a great job.
Yeah, I'd always heard that when she wrote Lestat, she was picturing Rutger Hauer.
I had heard Rutger Hauer. I'd also heard Julian Sands. In fact, Julian Sands was who she wanted to play him at the time. But the studios wanted a huge name, and they got it.
Hey, come on. Rutger Hauer made his vampire debut as the head vampire in Buffy.
Buffy, yeah. I mean, how do you top that, So yeah.
And he really hammed it up. That was.
Oh my God. Really. So what do we got next? What do we want to do next?
Excuse me. Well, just a real quick thing, something that I had been looking forward to for a long time, that was supposed to come out today has been delayed, and that is the Star Wars: The Old Republic expansion, Legacy of the Sith. It has been delayed for a full 2 months, to February 15th, 2022. And they announced that maybe not even a week ago now, I think. So I was sad. I didn't realize it until Today I was waiting for the patch. I got everything started, and I went and did something else, and I'm like, wait, why does it still say just Dark Descent? Why didn't it update more? And I finished up what I was doing and went, oh, because it's not there. Why isn't? And I went and looked, and that's when I found the article saying, oh yeah, it's delayed till, and it was from like 6 days ago, saying yeah, it's
Now,
delayed.
why what was the reason they gave for the delay?
I haven't heard. I heard there were some issues in the playtesting on the test server, and that they actually listened to the community, who I guess said it's not ready and it's too glitchy or something. So they actually, I think, trying to avoid a cyberpunk, maybe with an overabundance of caution, they've said, all right, we'll pull back and we'll release it in 2 months. We'll give everybody 2 more months to work on it.
Everybody is being very gun shy about that. They're being very careful. They do not want to have another Cyberpunk 2077. Although I did hear it has been just over a year now since Cyberpunk was released. It was November 11th, I think, of last year. So we're about a month in, about 13 months in. And they are finally saying, like, there's a lot of the
it's stable now.
It's been stable for quite a while, but they're finally starting to see some good news on the horizon for it.
I don't think I've touched it in like 6 months.
There's some positive stuff coming on the horizon. They're saying that we'll probably be seeing some content updates later, like in early 22. They're talking about they've backburnered multiplayer for now. I can't remember. There's a bunch. They're over the last like 2 months, or last month, I'd say there has been a lot of little announcements. A lot of little announcements coming from CD Projekt Red about it, and like there's a couple of YouTube guys that pop up on my feed that like make a huge deal out of what they got. Oh, this has made a big deal, and I watch the video and I'm like, this is not a big deal. This is horse shit. And you're just blowing it up. So, but I have been hearing things. I've been seeing some like statements about how things are definitely looking up for the game, and it had a rocky start, primarily one of the rockiest starts of any game in recent memory. No Man's Sky being the only one that probably comes close, and now No Man's Sky is again a $60 game because they fixed it so well. So and No Man's Sky is about 5 years old, so we'll see. I think Cyberpunk 2077 still has so much potential. There's so much they could do with that game, so many more things. And I mean, they could be patching, they could be adding content for another 5 years and just continuing to get more and more players and stuff. And it's a great game. It's a fucking great game. You really should pick it up again, Chris. It is still being praised for, at the very least, for the storyline. The story and the art of it is fantastic.
I keep thinking about it, but I've been trying to catch up on Star Wars so I could play the new expansion, because I was really looking forward to that. But now that I know it's 2 months out and I'm kind of stuck just doing dailies and stuff now on there, I'm like, yeah, I'll put that away probably for 2 months. And
there you go. I've been playing a lot of Skyrim, the new Skyrim stuff. Starting to get to some of the things in the new kind of thing, in the new anniversary edition that they've added in. So it's been pretty cool. There are several new houses that you can just get. There's a house that's it's a mage's tower essentially, and it's gorgeous, and it's got all of this awesome stuff in it. I mean, if anything, even if you just want to go in and just steal all the shit and then take it to your other place. I mean, plus it's got places for you to display prominent magic weapons that you like, either maybe you'll use for a while and then you level out of it or whatever, and then you go, okay, now I can put this here. And but there's at least two, if not, there's at least three right now. There's one house that I had to pay $7,000 for, that's got like, it's basically a little farmstead not far from the first main big city that you go to. And then there's two other places. One, like I said, the Mage's Tower, you just find it and figure out how to get in, and it's not a big deal. It's like you hit this one thing with a flame, some sort of flame spell, one of the various fire spells, and it just opens up, and they go, now you have another house here that you can go to with all, like I said, all kinds of shit in it. And then there's another place that basically this ancient or this old like warrior that basically doesn't want to live anymore. You have to fight them to the death, and if you kill this female like Viking warrior, she passes her house on to you, and it's this incredibly gorgeous like Viking longhouse with a downstairs that has all this these gorgeous like display area for trophies and mannequins for putting armor on, and it's fucking gorgeous. So and then there's the houses and stuff that you can earn in game and buy them in game and stuff like that and develop in game. I've encountered some of the new story stuff, and I'm still working on that. It's been really fun to revisit Skyrim. I hadn't done it in quite a long time, so I do feel guilty though that I have a shit ton of other games that I've never touched, and I need.
But think of the upkeep.
A lot of upkeep. There's one. The Viking Longhouse has this huge fire pit in the center, like a cooking pit, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, granted, Skyrim is large areas of Skyrim are very Nordic, and they're high in the mountains, or they've got snow or whatever, and you might want to have a fire pit going like all the time in the wintertime just to keep the place warm. But I could imagine during the summer just having this big open huge fire pit. I mean, it's like 12 feet by 6 feet, right? And just having this huge fire pit constantly burning, like even in the summertime. No, fuck that. You're cooking your own juices.
So with that, not only is this, we're only 3 days away, actually. This was a bit, sorry, my brain's not working right now. We're only 3 days away from not only our last Tavern Nights show of the year, which that's a huge deal anyway, but that's also the same day that we get The Witcher season 2 on Netflix. The whole thing drops that day. And Spider-Man No Way Home comes out that same day.
The initial reviews are saying that that this is the best Spider-Man yet, particularly of the Tom Holland ones. They're saying that it is absolutely fantastic. There was also been confirmed that Sony and Marvel have at least one more Spider-Man movie where they're sharing Spider-Man. They have, because they shared Doctor Strange with Sony with for this movie. Spider-Man is supposed to be in the Multiverse of Madness,
right? And
then but they are saying they've got at least one more, and that Feige has shared that, oh yeah, we've got one more, at least one more. We're going to see Spider-Man in another team up. And then there was also then the growing rumors too that they are moving forward with, the producers and whatnot are moving forward with another trilogy featuring Tom Holland.
Yep.
And that will be set in the MCU. Also, not as a kind of a spoiler, I've also heard that Venom does make an appearance.
I read something about that, and that Venom remembers dying in the Raimiverse.
But it's not the Tobey Maguire Venom. It is the Venom of
it's the Hardy Venom.
The Hardy Venom, the Tom Hardy Venom. So cool. I mean, I haven't seen the new Venom film, but I heard it was fun. I heard it was, similar to the first one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. But with that, at the same time, because you got to push your shit. last week on the Graham Norton show, which if anyone hasn't seen it, it is a brilliant show. It's a talk show where the host basically tries to get the guests drunk. They're drinking.
Well, they drink. Anyway.
Yeah, they drink, and he asks them really. He has no fear of asking them anything. He will ask them whatever.
He's a fantastic host. It's out of England.
It's on BBC America here. I believe the shows are on Thursday nights. And last week's show actually had Henry Cavill, Tom Holland, and Zendaya all on and pushing their movies or their show in their movie, and it was hilarious because Graham brought up the fact that. Henry is a huge nerd and is not afraid to fly his nerd flag, and he's like, do you really like paint, like what are they, the Warcraft things? And Henry's like, I paint Warhammer figures. And he went on about it, and he's like, yeah, you paint them, you paint up your army, and he's like, and Graham's like, well, then what do you do with them? He's like, well, then you take them and you go and you fight someone else that has an army. He's like, it's actually a lot of fun. And Graham's just like, what?
It's funny how alien things that you and I find to be completely normal and completely, no big deal, to like a Monday, to some mundane normal person, that stuff is just completely alien to them. They just don't fucking get it. They don't understand.
Well,
and it boggles my mind sometimes.
And then Tom Holland and Zendaya were talking about their experiences on the set of Spider-Man and stuff, and they were talking about kind of their like nerdy habits or their nerdy things. And Tom Holland got really into doing jigsaw puzzles. I guess he said he lives with like his 5 good friends. I'm like, dude, you're making MCU money. Why are you living with anyone?
Yeah.
But
honestly, it's as somebody who has, spent time living alone a few times, it can be kind of boring. I mean, it can be kind of lonely. It is kind of nice to have somebody else around. When I first bought my house, a friend of mine, my friend Lori, she lived in Cleveland, and she would come up and vend at different events. She made soaps and potpourri and different things like that, like skincare products. And she's a very goth girl, kind of a whole goth girl kind of thing. And she needed a place to crash. I was like, hey, I got a spare room. You're welcome to stay. And she would come, and she'd stay for like a month at a time sometimes. And I mean, we were just friends. We weren't romantic or anything. And it was just kind of nice just having somebody else here,
Yep.
So,
but and then they talked to Zendaya, and she said that she knits, and because he was like, "You knit," and she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Who taught you?" And I think she said her grandmother or mother taught her to knit, and she's like, "It's just something that I can do, and it's just a mundane task that I can just do it without really thinking." Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Oh, and I can only make scarves." She's like, I'm not making you a sweater. I can make a scarf. As a matter of fact, I guess they got like scarves she made scarves for everybody on the set and everything. So, but Tom was talking about, he said there's one intense scene where he's fighting Doc Ock, and he's like, I'm upside down, and he keeps ramming me into this wall, and it's like he rams me in, and then he does it again, and he goes, I was upside down for like 11 hours. He's like, it was horrible, blood rushing to your head. He's like, they keep doing this, and I look over, and there's Zendaya just knitting, watching the. But he said that was a horrible scene, and he was complaining to I guess his brother was there, and his brother was driving him home, and he's like, he was complaining about it. He's like, mate, you're Spider-Man. What do you have to complain about? He's like, because he was complaining that, like, they would like smash him into the wall, and the director would go, oh, can you just tilt your head more like this? But so he just kept complaining, and they said that they needed an extra for a scene where he just to be like a normal like bank robber that Spider-Man stops. Mm-hmm. And the director said, "Hey, do you think I forget his brother's name?" But anyway, he said, do you think that he'd do it?" He's like, "Oh, bollocks him! He's doing it. I don't care what he says. He's doing it. Just make sure that when in the fight, when it happens, that he has to be upside down."
Well, yeah.
So they did that. They did the whole scene and everything, and he said that they were driving home that night. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, you can complain all you want. I understand. That sucks being upside down like that." And then he goes, "I don't think he knows this yet, but we just saw the final cut. They cut his scene."
Oh no!
He's like, he was so excited. He's like, I'm in a Spider-Man movie. I can't believe it. Blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, they cut his scene.
Oh man, that's funny.
But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I truly enjoy the Graham Norton show. It used to be on right after Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's a great
BBC
show.
America, and I would watch Doctor Who, and then I would watch Graham Norton. But yeah, he is a brilliant host.
Yeah, it's a really great show. Highly recommend. I mean, I like I said, I wish it was more, just a little more like readily available.
Well, I guess you can get it on AMC Plus through Prime, so it's another subscription service.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not paying another like $8 a month.
Nope.
To watch BBC America.
Nope. Won't do it. I can't. I'm already paying enough in.
I might as well go back.
All of the different.
I might as well go back to Comcast then. It's
yeah. I'm already paying enough for all of the different streaming services that I have. I'm like, I'm not.
Which, that's what kills me is now there's only one choice if you want cable for us, at least in my area.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess technically you go with AT&T, but I don't count them. But yeah, it's Comcast. WoW doesn't offer video services anymore for new customers. They're still supporting it for customers who had it, but if you go and get a WoW subscription now, they don't offer TV service anymore. They offer you internet service, and then they offer you like YouTube TV or Sling or one of those. And I'm like, well, do I get a discount? And they're like, oh no. I'm like, then why am I going to go through you?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to both The Witcher and Spider-Man No Way Home.
I am as well. It is killing me. I love it. I'm like, it's driving me crazy. I can't wait. That and between that and the Ghostbusters, which I still need to see.
Oh yeah, I still need to see that too.
Super excited.
I still need to see Eternals. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, that one will be coming to Disney Plus pretty soon.
Yeah, in about a month.
You know, you could wait. You know, I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray eventually, I'm sure. But you know, you can.
I'm sure I will too. I got to complete my collection. I got the entire Marvel universe on my in Blu-ray.
I as well.
So what else?
Okay,
what do you got?
Well, last week we had the 2021 Video Game Awards. They were. Let me see here. Hang on. Go back to the top of the article. Yeah, the Game Awards of 21. So there were a bunch of reveals done. I'm just not going to go through all of them.
Anti-Dawn says for Ghostbusters, stay until the very end.
Oh yeah, I've heard you gotta. If there's a post-credit scene, that's really well worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of games were. You know what? This game's radar. I swear. Sometimes. A lot of stuff was teased. You know, they made there were a lot of announcements and a lot of the games that won were games that I'm like, the various things where I'm like, I'm not really super interested in most of these things. It Takes Two took a lot of awards, which was I've heard really good things about. They revealed a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game from the same people that made the Friday the 13th game. So very horror oriented, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They are also the CD will be happy to hear about this. They are doing a Expanse game. It's a Telltale series game, so it's more of a storytelling kind of game, similar to the Walking Dead and Batman ones. So not like super action oriented, but it's very story oriented. from the people behind Life is Strange to True Colors. There's a bunch of fighting games or fighter games, kind of like Babylon's Fall. It's a sword slasher. Monster Hunter Rise. It's an expansion to Monster Hunter. New monsters, monster rank hunts. Let's see, something called Thirsty Suitors, which is like about a like Indian American girl that it's like a fighting game, but it's more about her fighting, like dealing with suitors because her parents are trying to get her married. And it's not a game that I'm probably going to play, but I got to admit the trailer looks pretty funny, and the gameplay looks pretty funny too. Very colorful too. The art part of it is great. A game called Evil West, very steampunky kind of Old West kind of thing, where you're a kind of a gunfighter with these really wild steampunk kind of oriented weapons, and you're fighting demons and monsters. That looks great. A lot of stuff, a lot of really cool shit. Hellblade 2. So if you played Hellblade Sensua's Sacrifice, this is the sequel to that. Also, a new Star Wars game, Star Wars Eclipse, Quantic Dream. Now, Quantic Dream is the company that made Detroit Become Human, which was absolutely fantastic. Won tons of awards. Really fantastic game. They're making this game, Star Wars Eclipse. It takes place in the High Republic era. It's a very moody trailer. It looks spectacularly beautiful. So we'll see. Also, they revealed a new Wonder Woman video game. It's coming from the team behind Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. And it looks gorgeous from what little they've seen. There's no gameplay. It's just like Wonder Woman's mother kind of speaking, Hippolyta speaking to her, and some imagery of Wonder Woman herself, like shots of her armor and shots of her holding her lasso and stuff like that. So it looks like it's going to be pretty spectacular. I think pretty awesome. Unfortunately,
CDS, was there another Wonder Woman game?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think there's ever actually been a Wonder Woman game. Unfortunately, this website that I get a lot of stuff from, anytime you pull up a video, you gotta wade through at least 2 or 3 commercials right before, and sometimes it's the same commercial like twice or 3 times. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's basically Hippolyta just describing Diana's role and her duties and stuff, and while you have like little shots of like her foot and her breastplate and her bracer and things like that. So but it looks really beautiful, at least so far. Cool. Like I said, we haven't seen any gameplay, and I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing. I'm guessing it's going to be similar to like a Tomb Raider kind of situation, but we'll see. They also did a trailer for the new Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie. Trailer for the movie. It has brought back Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. And he looks even more like the character in the video games, even bigger mustache and a bald head. So I didn't see Sonic 1, but I ended up hearing it was actually pretty good. So I'm going to get around to seeing it eventually. And this one looks pretty good too. And it's brought in, for those of you who may be more familiar with the games, it's brought in Tails and Knuckles too. Idris Elba does the voice of Knuckles. So there was also a big trailer and gameplay trailer for Horizon Forbidden West, which is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. It looks amazeballs. There's more robots, more animal robots, There's also a stealth kind of element to it, even more so than in the previous game. I'm super jazzed for this game.
Dude, I can't
really
wait.
enjoy it.
I want a PS5 before that. I was talking about that at work the other day, and we were talking about the that one of the guys had just gotten a PS5, and he was telling me how he did it, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll try that. Or no, it was actually at the curling club. That's what it was. We were talking about it on Sunday, and
it is a bit easier to get them now than it was a year ago, but it's still
the bots are still grabbing them up on a lot of the drops. But anyway, he said that, and I said I don't need one by Christmas, because he was like, he's like, well, he goes, you can do this. He goes, but I don't know if there'll be any more drops before Christmas. I'm like, I don't care about Christmas. I want one before Horizon comes out. And he's like, exactly. He goes, that's exactly what I wanted it for. Was I wanted it before that game comes out. I said, yeah. I said the first one, Zero Dawn, was one of my favorite games of all time to play.
It was a fantastic game.
It was beautiful. It had a good story. I truly just enjoyed that game.
The gameplay was great.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed that game. And he completely agreed with me. He's like, it was fantastic. Really one of the best games I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to Forbidden West.
So yeah, that's coming out. I didn't see, did it give me a date?
Forbidden West, I think, is May. It was supposed to be February, but it's coming out in May now, I think.
I think they pushed it a bit. Yeah, they're still talking, but within the first 2 quarters of 22.
No, February 18th still.
Oh, February. Okay, so right around the corner, really.
Yep.
Another expansion.
Yeah, I'll have 3 days to play the Legacy of the Sith before that comes out, and my life as we know it ends, and all I do is play Forbidden West.
Right. A new expansion to Cuphead at the end of June. One of the like a really beautiful game, like very kind of old school animation and everything for like 1940s animation, really cool stuff. One of the hardest games you're ever going to play, though. It's a side scroller. It's an old school side scroller. Really difficult game to play. I'm just kind of scrolling over a few. I'm skipping over some stuff. There was a gameplay trailer for Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, which looks fantastic. Features Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and King Shark, I believe, are the 4 that you play in the game. I think you can switch in between characters depending on what you want to do. They all have very different play styles, and the whole idea, I believe, is it is an alt world, but like Brainiac is taking control of the Justice League, and Amanda Waller has tasked the Suicide Squad, a souped up Suicide Squad, to take out the Justice League, and it looks pretty great. There's some really, really fun stuff. Looks really hilarious, and I'm really excited to play that game. We have a Dune game coming out, a real-time strategy game piece for the PC about controlling spice and/or harnessing desert power, as Ducleto Atreides would say it. So it's going to be very, very much like I said, it's a real-time strategy game. Now, the interesting thing is, Dune was one of the first RTSs that kind of birthed a lot of the RTSs of the early millennium, the early 2000s. Dune 2000 was a game that came out in the 90s, and it was on consoles, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was a great game. It was very fun. You had to harvest spice, and you had to build, your troops up, and all these other things, and defend from the Harkonnens, and all these other things. But it was very much a precursor to things like to Warcraft and Starcraft and Age of Empires and things like that. So to see the Dune franchise return to this kind of game, I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool. Should be enter early access sometime in 22. Also, more stuff. Metal Hellsinger and Angel of Death, Steel Rising. Oh, Star Trek Resurgence, a Star Trek game set after the Next Generation from former Telltale developers. It's spring of 22. You'll don the uniform of First Officer Jara Rydick and Engineer Carter Diaz as they try to unravel a mystery before war breaks out. So again, another story-oriented kind of game, similar to it's a Telltale game, or so at least from the makers of those Telltale games. From the trailer itself, it looks really cool. And I've always felt that we need more Star Trek games. There haven't been that many. Star Trek Online was kind of a disappointment. I mean, it's okay, but from what I understand, the game has improved over the years. I played it when it first came out for a while, and it just it didn't grab me, which was amazing considering how much I love Star Trek. There have been some other games. There've been some ship combat games and things like that. I just none of the Star Trek games have grabbed me, like, you know, enough to make me go, wow. You know, I really wanted to play the more recent Bridge Commander, I think it is, where it's more of a VR game, but I don't have a VR system. And you don't have to play it in VR now. It was adapted for like computer play and stuff, but I don't know. I still just kind of always wanted to play it in VR. The cool thing about it was you could play it in VR online, and you could be the captain, and you could have a friend be the engineer, another friend be your tactical officer.
They did that years ago before VR. They had people that were setting things up like that, and they were doing like linked computers, and you would set it up in like a basement. It was almost like a LAN party type of thing. And one person was the captain, one person was communications officer, one person was helm, one person was science, one person was security. They had that whole thing, and everyone had a job to do, and you had to do certain things at certain times.
I remember something about that. Yeah. I mean, there have been Star Trek video games. There have been, like I said, space combat games. And there have been ones that had actually, like, some of the actors from the various shows show up in them and portray their characters. Bridge Commander, I think, or some of the other ones, or Starfleet Academy, and it was like a Klingon game. There were some of those games. None of them really kind of grabbed me. I think at the time too, like maybe they were popular on the computer, and I just didn't have a computer that was running it, or just, I can't remember. But this game looks, like I said, it's a very story-oriented game, similar to the Batman and Walking Dead games. So hell, I'll give it a shot. You know, if it's Star Trek, I'll generally try and give it a shot. There are some other things here. There was a Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt game coming out in spring of 22. It's not the Bloodlines 2 that we were waiting for. This is more of a battle royale genre game where you play a vampire, but it's a battle royale game. I don't know. I haven't really played any of the battle royale games, but this one seems pretty fucking cool.
Okay.
Seen some of the stuff for it. The Halo TV show trailer happened as well. They also did some stuff for the Elden Ring, which is coming out real soon. They're saying that this is going to be one of the next big fantasy games. And stuff for the Matrix. They in fact, Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves showed up at the end of the Game Awards to drop a fresh peek at the Matrix Resurrection and announce an Unreal Engine 5 experience. The Matrix Awakens is available for download right now on PS5 and Xbox Series X. You're going to be wowed to trust us. So it's basically a Matrix-oriented thing that shows the power of your console. And there's hints that they're making. Apparently, there's been rumors and hints that they're making a new Matrix video game that is going to be like open world kind of thing. So, hell, man, they put a create a video game set in the Matrix. I would play it a lot. A lot. So that's about all I got from here.
Okay.
Yeah, the little bit about Resurgence. The game is being developed by Dramatic Labs, a studio made up of 20 former Telltale Games developers, including the lead writers and creative directors who, between them, worked on the likes of Telltale's The Walking Dead, Batman, and Game of Thrones adaptations, as well as The Wolf Among Us, which was based on a comic book series called Fables. The trailer shows the sorts of difficult dialogue choices you'll expect from a team of ex-Telltale developers, but it also includes some action-packed scenes of ship acrobatics and phaser blasting strange anomalies. So really cool. And there's a cameo of none other than Spock, complete with the late Leonard Nimoy's likeness and presumably a sound-alike voice actor. We'll have to wait and see if any of those.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Real quick, there's they also named the 25 best games of 21, many of which are kind of smaller kind of, I don't want to call them small press, but like smaller company games. Couple of them though kind of were of note. Monster Hunter Rise was one. That's a pretty big game. The Artful Escape, Solar Ash, Age of Empires 4 was number 17 on the list, relatively new. but Age of Empires, it's a real-time medieval strategy redesigned for new generation, headed up by fascinating diverse roster. That's on the PC. It is available on Steam. I haven't purchased it yet. Far Cry 6 was number 16. Haven't played it yet. I know you have. You've been enjoying it.
I've started playing it. Yeah, I got to get back to it.
Yeah. The people are raving about it. Forza Horizon, Metroid Dread, Returnal. People are saying good things about Returnal. Kena Bridge of Spirits. Life is Strange to True Colors, another great story-driven game, adventure. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is number 10. Single-player blockbuster where you join the Guardians on a quest to pay off their debts and save the universe. People are saying wonderful things about this game. I really need to pick it up. It says Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy smartly puts the focus on the core team and their incessant bickering with sharp and hilarious writing that makes you feel like you're discovering a wonderfully weird world for the first time. Drax's inability to grasp any idiom. One moment sees the destroyer respond to a prompt that there's an enemy at 12 o'clock with, I don't see how the time will help us here, is a highlight in particular. On top of the brilliant script, the game's action is also surprisingly heady, mixing real-time strategy with sci-fi blasting might initially seem a bit convoluted, but ends up feeling like a perfect fit for the Guardians, especially when you get to hurdle up and start blasting 80s mega hits. You haven't experienced all of this year's gaming pleasures if you haven't battered a Nova Core guard to the sounds of hot chocolates. Everyone's a winner. So, fuck, I gotta play this game. It says, might be better than the movies. Valheim at number 9 is people, and I've heard people say wonderful things about Valheim. It is a third-person survival game set in a world of Vikings and giant monsters of land and sea trying to kill said Vikings. I've heard that it's really cool. It Takes Two has gotten a lot of awards. Resident Evil Village, where we've been getting some amazing cosplay out of from the Lady Dimitrescu. Dimitrescu. You know, the giant vampiress that people have been like, that gorgeous women have been cosplaying. Halo Infinite. Hitman 3 is number 4. I never played any of the Hitman games. The last one was back in, it was relaunched back in 2016. But this new one they're saying is really quite good. Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart at number 2, and Deathloop at number 1. So some really great games this year. That's about it really that I had.
Well, we can get into Hawkeye then.
Let's get into some Hawkeye.
Because damn, what an episode.
What an episode. God.
Now, so this is episode 4. Episode 5, from what we've seen in the past, is usually like a big one. That's like the big episode. There may even be an end credit scene if there's going to be one, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But holy shit, this one had so much in it. So it starts off where the last one left off, which is with Jack having Clint at sword point of his own sword, actually. The Ronin sword. And then Kate comes in and tells him no, and then Mom comes in and she's like, why is there an Avenger in my living room? Like, she's unfazed by that.
Yeah.
That's
she's kind of phased. She's kind of phased. She's like, I like the fact that, you know, Hawkeye, who was considered probably the least visible of the Avengers, he was really the guy who was kind of more built for the shadows. And I mean, in all honesty, was probably like a sniper and or hitman for like the CIA before he joined SHIELD.
Which he gets into later. Because there's a big reveal in the...
Oh, yeah. Budapest. And he's recognizable. Like, people look at him and they're like, thanks for saving the world.
Well, and Jack even looks at me, he's like, oh yeah, you're the archer, which is hilarious because in the comics he's the swordsman. So
yeah, that was a thing people were making, jokes that people were making about it, about how like Yeah, that's why it was kind of a funny kind of
Yeah.
nod.
Well, and Kate comes back with the whole, see, I told you it's a branding issue.
The branding issue. She wants him to be like as recognizable as Captain America. She thinks that he's her hero,
Yep.
you know.
And I love that she
him to
drew
be
up the classic Hawkeye costume.
Oh yeah,
for
with
him.
the wings, and because you're a
Yeah.
hawk, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna happen. My wife would divorce me if I wore that outfit.
But so they all wind up sitting around the table having
Yeah.
coffee or tea or whatever, and he keeps eyeing the Ronin sword just sitting over on the side, and they're just talking, and Kate keeps saying, you know, I'm his partner. She's not my partner. Well, we're friends and kind of partners. I wouldn't call her a friend.
I wouldn't call her friends. I wouldn't call us friends either. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, she's just so much wants to be a part, and he's like, oh, God, I'm trying to get out, and this girl is pulling me back in. But I do like how the mom was like, I can't lose her.
Yeah. But let me walk you out. Kate, you stay. Yes. Let me walk you out.
Yeah, and I'll get my coat. And that's when he
grabs the sword. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, oh, thank God. I like it. I like this. I really like how it's developing. It's really showing Hawkeye, really getting into the nitty-gritty of the character. I love how it's we're seeing little bits more and more about his wife too, about Laura.
Well, which we'll get into in a minute. But back to that whole scene when Hawkeye leaves, and then the mom. There's more about her too that we haven't seen, because she makes a phone call.
Right.
After he leaves. Don't know who. And just says, hey, we have a problem.
Yeah. And so we don't know. I mean, there's people have been making like theories that she's involved with organized crime, and they make theories that she's involved with the spy game. And
I've heard that they're going to make her Madame Mask.
Okay. It'd be an interesting twist. I mean, it would be a lot more interesting if she really is like this criminal mastermind, and that looks like she's getting taken for a ride by Jacques Duquesne, and for her to reverse it and be like, oh, you thought you were using me? No, motherfucker, you know. There have been talks that she could be linked to the Kingpin as well. So I don't know. We'll see. I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think it would be an interesting twist, and it would be a neat kind of thing for a woman who runs a security company to also be, you know, attached to organized crime on some level.
But then when Hawkeye leaves, we see him texting, you know, check out Sloan Limited, you know, do what you can find. And it's actually him texting his wife. And she gets back with him and starts speaking German.
Yeah, so because the kids don't speak German, and she needs to say something to them, and they don't. And,
well, she starts off with I contacted your friend, and she drops some hints, and he's like, they're laundering money for the Tracksuit Mafia.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, and the CEO is Jacques Duquesne.
Right.
And
so it's confirmed, you know, okay, Jacques is obviously a bad guy. What I'm interested to see is, like I said, it was exploring more about, okay, Laura is definitely more than just Hawkeye's wife. You know, she probably had some kind of, she was involved with the spy game in some way, shape, or form. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that she was a spy or that she was active in. She could have been a handler. She could have been a tech person. You know, she could have been one of those people that, you know, like was the person he's talking to in his ear. You know, when he's on a mission. So but there was one theory that I just saw the other day, that now in the comic books, Clint Barton was married to Bobby Morse, who was known as.
This is the same theory I was going to bring up, because I saw this too.
Right. She was known as Mockingbird. I think this came out of the Nerdist, that
Mhm.
possibly Mockingbird could have been a title that was given to a group of like shield agents or whatever, kind of their answer to the Black Widows. And that maybe she was one of the Mockingbirds. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't like that they would make it into like the same like a group, but I can understand
right.
because
Mhm.
they really have worked to distance Shield, even though they've referenced it. They never truly tied it into the MCU movies.
Not the show.
Yeah,
Well, they did twice. They did a couple of times. In the first season, they referenced what happened in Thor: The Dark World, and they
but
definitely
that's the thing.
reference.
They reference it in the show, but at no point has the show been brought back into the MCU
Correct.
after Avengers.
Hmm.
There's no mention of Coulson again.
Well, Thor: The Dark World took place after Avengers.
Yes,
Yeah. There
but
was.
in the
Oh well, yeah.
MCU in the movies there is no reference of Coulson.
See, and I always
The
hated that.
movies were referenced on the show, but the show was never
Shows
referenced in the
never
movies. In the movies,
correct. And I thought that was a big mistake. I thought that
I thought so too.
they developed some really great characters on and some really great storylines on Agents of Shield, and I just did not understand why they worked so hard to separate the two.
Hmm.
Um, they could still have existed within the same universe. They just
Well,
needed
and
to. Um, when they did reference it is when uh, in Civil War when Shield fell apart. The show reacted to that, and I think that was the last time that we
but that
actually
was the
saw
show reacting to the movies again.
it. Well, once again, you're right, correct. The both of them though. After a while, Shield, the TV show, never referenced the movies ever again,
Hmm.
and then the same thing, of course, on the movies. Never once Coulson died, it was all over. So I don't know. I just always thought that sucked.
Hmm.
You know.
But anyway, but yeah, that's the theory is that she may have been Mockingbird.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's a chance where they could just say she was the original Mockingbird. She retired, and then Bobby Morris took over
Yeah.
for the show. They could still even tie it in that way.
Yeah. Exactly. In fact, and the girl they had playing Bobby Morris is she's on the Orville now, and
Hmm.
she's so gorgeous, man. She was so great in that role too. She was really cool. In fact, there was talk of a spinoff featuring her and her husband
Hunter,
or whatever,
Hunter.
Hunter. And I thought that would have been really cool. I would have
Hmm.
watched that.
I would have too.
That girl, I can't remember her name. Let me look up her name, but
She was on
she was
Supernatural, actually.
she's been on Supernatural a few times. She was a pretty well known character actress of that type, but she also was on the pilot of the Wonder Woman TV show that never aired. Like you can still see it in some places, but they made a pilot. They were going to make a Wonder Woman show, and it's just the pilot just went, ooh, nobody liked it. So it got shit canned, but it was done by the guy who created
Adrian
Valley.
Palicki.
Yes, Adrian Palicki, and
She's from Toledo,
fucking
Ohio.
smoking Palicki. Yes, I put a D in there, but yes, you're right, Adrian Palicki. But and I watched the trailer. I was able to, or the Wonder Woman pilot that she did. Actually, the one that I saw it hadn't been completely finished. It was still because I was able to pirate it. I downloaded it, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was okay. It needed a little finessing, a little tweaking, but I thought it was all right. Yeah, she plays Lady J in G.I. Joe Retaliation. Friday Night Lights. She was in the movie Legion. She was in John Wick. She's of course the Orville, which the new season should be coming out in 22.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. She actually married Scott Grimes,
She did, and
who was also from the Orville.
yes, and their marriage is over.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, it didn't last very long. So, I'm hoping it looks like it says 1, 2, 3. It says 11. Looks like 11 episodes in the new season so far.
This is showing that they're still married.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I see here. That just shows that she got married there. It doesn't show that they. Yeah, she filed for divorce in July of 2020.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
Yeah, it was real fast. Yeah,
they were engaged in January of 2019, married in May of 19. She filed for divorce in July of 2019.
Yeah.
Then they dismissed the filing in mid-November because she requested it, and then she filed for divorce a second time in July of 2020.
Yeah. So I think they realized that they moved a little too fast. I don't know that. Interesting. She was in the Aquaman TV movie, which was another pilot that was supposed to kind of spring out of the Smallville kind of shit, and then from the producers of Smallville, and then she was in a couple episodes of Supernatural.
Yep. But we're getting sidetracked.
We are.
But anyway, so there's talk that she's something more, and it's kind of hinted at that the watch that got stolen could be an issue for her, the way they're making it sound.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious as to what that watch is.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the thing. Kate comes over we fast forward to the evening. They go back to the apartment where Kate's laying on the couch and Jacques and her mother are talking, and then they start dancing, and she sees them together and sees how happy they are, and she's like, I've never seen you like this.
Right.
And there's a whole
sweet.
Yeah, there's a whole little scene there, and then Jacques does his little thing with the the aphorisms?
Yeah, he screws it up.
Yeah, he messes it up. Yeah, which is something that he always does, and they laugh at him, and
he screws up. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. He screws that up.
Yeah, and they're like, and then they're like, you always mess those up. Last week you said absence makes the heart grow older, and he's like, but it does. That's what it does. But so that whole thing, and they talk about, he says, well, being made fun of by family is at Christmas is still better than being alone. And then they show Clint going to the freezer and like getting out like all these like the frozen drink packs,
like frozen margaritas,
and daiquiris and stuff, and just taping them to his shoulder and his elbow and his wrist and his knees.
His feet. Yeah, like shit. Like his wife even mentions his feet specifically.
Yeah, she's like, ice them if you have to.
Yeah.
And then he puts one on his eyes as he lays back in the recliner, and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and he sits up, and it just falls off of his face, which I thought was kind of funny. And then it's Kate, and she's brought pizza and holiday cheer, and it's kind of a sweet moment where she comes in, and while she still wants to be his partner and stuff, she's trying to help him out, because she's like, she brought a Christmas tree to put up, and they're making plans and talking about, how things interact. And he tells her basically that Jacques is a bad guy and that her instincts were right. And they go through this whole thing, and they start decorating the tree, and she's like, well, it's movie night, right? I brought movies. And she brought like every single Christmas movie that's ever been made.
Yeah. All the big ones.
Yeah. And so
I gotta say, I loved how, like, he starts showing her about, like his marksman tricks.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what they were talking about that. And as they're decorating the tree, he's like, I can knock somebody out with this. And she's like, no way. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, quarter, nickel, dime's too light. And I mean, he just goes, she's like, no, prove it. Do it now. He's like, what, knock you out? And she's like, no, do something else. And she's like, I don't believe you. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And she's like, fine, I'll just go through life, not believing you. And she just shoots it off and turns off the radio and the TV.
Yeah, tink, tink, tink through like ricochets and stuff.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. People think that he's just an archer or a bowman. He is a marksman. He can do that shit with all kinds of stuff. He can with play darts with Hawkeye. You will lose every goddamn time. He even talks about the whole. The two of them are talking about the whole splitting the arrow kind of thing, that the trick, the Robin Hood splitting the arrow trick. And he goes, I've done it a few times. It's more about, and he explains about
you have to use a wood arrow on the first one, and
and stuff like that. And he goes, I've done it a few times. And you're just like, yes, because he's a marksman. I remember in the comic books a few times him dealing with that, like his bow being wrecked or whatever. So instead of he pulls arrows out of his quiver and just throws the arrows and throws various different other things, because he's a marksman and he can do that kind of shit with everything. And he's not quite Bullseye, but he's pretty fucking close. So because Bullseye's that he's dangerous with anything, throwing, shooting, whatever.
Right.
But Hawkeye could be Bullseye if he chose to. Bullseye kills people.
Yeah.
Specific.
But then the whole night too, they're drinking those drinks.
Yeah.
They just keep. She's like, "You got any more of those frozen things?" And they just keep mixing them.
Right. Yeah, because she did state that she's 22.
Yeah. And so they go through and they do all that, and then he teaches her how to do that trick, and she turns the TV on, and they sit and watch It's a Wonderful Life, and then they have a really touching moment where she actually says something to him, and she's like, "You lost your family during the blip, didn't you?" Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, I did." And then she's like, they start talking about. She's like, "Is that when you met Ronan?" And the Ronin, and he doesn't say anything. She's like, "You were Ronin, weren't you?" And he talks about everyone dealt with the blip differently. They're in their own way. I reverted back to what I was and what I was trained for. And she's like, "No, you're a good guy." He's like, "I'm a weapon."
A weapon. Yeah. Yeah.
Goes, I just happened to be pointed by good people for a number of years.
Yeah, it honestly shows how dangerous Clint really is. Like he was a highly trained, talented, because that's the thing. It's that his abilities go beyond talent or go beyond training. He's extremely talented. His eyesight, it borders on the superhuman. So, and it might even be considered superhuman. So, in real life. So, he was pointed in the right direction by the right people, thankfully, for quite a while.
Yep. So then they have their little touching moment, and he basically says, "You need to get some sleep. We got a big day tomorrow." And she heads off to bed. And then the next day they get up and they're talking, and he basically sends her to get his arrowheads back.
So fucking
from the LARPers.
Right.
Or to get the LARPers to help because they're at a police station by the bridge. By the Brooklyn Bridge.
Cops.
Yeah. And one of them was a cop. Yeah. So she goes and talks to them, and that's a funny scene.
She makes friends with a bunch of these LARPers.
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense.
Because they want to be involved too.
Right. Hi, I work with Hawkeye.
Yeah, he sent me to. Want to use a cop? Yeah, that's me. So and so, also known as Elzeba and that's an interesting one because basically, Kate invites all of them back to the apartment, and she's trying on different LARP outfits and armor and stuff like that when Clint comes back in. And he gets info basically from his wife. He gets a text from her saying the watch wasn't destroyed. It's still sending a signal. Here's the address.
Right.
And so he goes back and he's in there talking with them. And he's like, "Did you get the arrows?" She's like, "Working on it. They're on their way." And then the woman who was the officer comes in, and she's like, "I got him." And he goes to take the bag, and she's like, "No, this is my bag. Didn't you bring your own bag?"
You don't have a bag? Yeah.
he's like, "No." And he goes to take it. She's like, "No, my wife gave me this bag. She even embroidered it. See, it says Bombshell," which is interesting because now there's lots of rumors that's who that is, that's going to be Bombshell from the comics.
Yeah. That's okay. Bombshell was a super villainous
Yeah.
superhero. She was
they're saying what's going to turn her into a villain. I saw this on Nerdist, that what's going to turn her into a villain is that Clint's not going to bring her bag back.
That's horseshit. That whole scene cracked me the fuck up because he's all just kind of like, great, thanks guys, you know, because Clint's not a nerd, you know. He's like that guy that shows up at a nerd event at a Renaissance festival and just doesn't get it. He's the guy that shows up, you know, at a Comic-Con and just kind of goes, what is all this nerd shit? Clint was probably
he's Graham Norton. So you paint the little Warcraft figures, right?
Warcraft things. Warhammer. And, I think Clint was probably a jock. He was probably a baseball player. You know, precision. He was probably like, you know, this jockey guy that not necessarily an asshole or anything, but he wasn't into nerdy shit. Yeah, he was a baseball pitcher. He was, you know, and he was into sports or athletics or whatever. And he joined the army, and then he joined, you know, special forces, and then he joined the CIA, and then he joined SHIELD. He wasn't the dude that, you know, gets together and uses boffer weapons in combat. You know, I mean, he fights in combat for reals, and it's just one of the things that was really funny in that first or second episode where he has to hunt down his uniform or hunt down the Ronin outfit at the LARP event, where people are coming up to him and trying to, and he's just like parrying their shit away, and he's
just
like,
smack, just like it's nothing. It's like Vader fighting Luke on the Bespin. It's just Luke's like da, 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 and Vader's just like yeah, whatever.
Get some training, kid. And yeah, so he's standing in this room full of cops, firefighters, and you know, whatever else that are all super nerds, and he's kind of like, yeah, great, thanks for bringing me my arrows, guys, you know. And they're like, oh, we want to help, you know. Oh my god. So anyway, they figure out where the watch is, and so they go to the apartment of where the watch is.
Yeah, they're staking it out from across the street, which I thought was cool, because that's the whole thing too, is Kate's like, this would be easier if we were higher up. He's like, no, you got to think about this. You got to figure in a fast getaway rather than a fast entrance.
Right. Yeah. And so he's like, okay, you stay here, blah, blah, blah. And he turns away and she's already gone.
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, okay, you're going to sneak in. And she just like, she doesn't sneak in. She like finesses her way in by being just nice. Oh, can I help you with your groceries? You know.
Well, she's still carrying a giant longbow and with arrows and a quiver on her back, and no one noticed.
Nobody says shit.
Yeah,
I would have at least went, "Wow, are you like a competitive archer or something?" You know, I mean, I would have said something, you know, along those lines. You know, it was really funny. So then she gets into the apartment, and
what's even funnier is when she's riding up in the elevator with him, and Clint's talking with her, and she's talking back, and the guy's like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, I wasn't talking to you." And then she stops. She's like, "I was talking to an Avenger."
Yeah.
and he's just like, "I'll take those groceries back. I can manage. I can help you get into your apartment." No, it's okay. I've got them.
And so then she you know, gets into the apartment, and she immediately, you know, she sees these flashing lights, and she covers them with those goo arrows, and she's like, what the hell was that? And he's like, I don't know. And just she's looking around the apartment, and then he suddenly realizes, holy shit, that's Echo's place. She's on her way. And you know, because somebody tells him she's on her way or something like that.
No, he basically figures it out. He's like, those were a silent alarm for people who can't see or can't hear.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so Echo shows up on the fucking or in the apartment and starts to, you know.
Well, you hear Clint start fighting before that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Just before that, and he's like, that's it. Get out of there. Echo's here.
And she's like, no, Echo's fighting me.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, he's like, Echo's here. She's like, yeah, I know. She's right here. He's like, no, she's here on the rooftop.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see all four of them eventually end up being on the thing, because like he shoots the cable along and she jumps on, And then of course she doesn't get enough momentum and stops midway through.
Yeah, and then she's like,
son of a bitch. Yeah. Finally, she gets enough,
what it is the one that Clint's fighting jumps up, grabs the wire, and pulls down to use it to kick Clint. And then when she lets go, it snaps it up and drops it down, and it gives her the momentum to come in. Yeah, and as she comes in, she tries to kick the person that Clint's fighting, who then just jumps out of the way, does a flip, grabs her, yanks her off, and slams her on the ground. Right. And you hear Kate go, "Oh, that hurt."
Yeah. And then at least at one point in that fight, there's at least one Black Widow pose. And I'm like, up, I know who this is.
Poser.
Yeah. And I liked how the fact that, she's trying to take out Clint, but when she has the opportunity to take out Kate, she takes the opportunity, tosses her over the side.
Take her out of the fight.
But then at first you're like, oh shit. She just threw off the fucking building, and then you look down and she's connected with a tether.
Yep.
And she's hanging there. So when the girl,
which Echo was up there at that time too. By that point.
And so when she threw her off the fucking roof, she tethered her.
Yep.
With a widow line, and so that she would.
And Clint runs over to go and grab her because he's seeing flashes of Natasha.
Yeah, of Natasha. So but then he cuts her, and then she
go home, kid.
Yeah, and then she falls like through the lines of the Christmas lights and lands, and she's like, fuck that. And she just runs back upstairs. And so of course then you see, a couple of I think Echo gets hit with a fucking widow's bite, and Hawkeye gets hit with a widow's bite.
When Kate gets back up, there's still a big fight going on, and she just fires a sonic arrow right into the middle of everybody.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, it takes everybody out for a second. And then everything resets, and then they all start fighting. And yes, then Echo gets hit with the widow's bite.
Right.
And then it's not until after Clint grabs the mask that the other one's wearing and yanks it off, and that we see it's Yelena. Mm-hmm. That's when he gets hit with the widow's bite.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? You got to know he's been probably tagged with those things a few times over the years. You got to know he's like, he knows what it feels like and probably knows how to shake it off. So
but even Echo was able to. She reached up and grabbed him and yanked him off.
Yeah, because they're actually a projectile that electrocutes you. I did find that I did like, we knew she was going to show up. If you saw Black Widow, you knew she was going to show up on the show. So that was a cool kind of thing. I'm really hoping by the last episode we see Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Like we did in the other ones. I think that's going to be would be really great.
And that's the thing. So she widow bites Clint, and then she throws down a little grapple hook onto the roof that just grabs in, and then runs and jumps off the roof herself.
Right.
And Clint's able to get the thing off, and then he basically tells Kate, "That's it. You're done. Go home. You're out of this." Yeah. Someone sent this has gotten real.
Yeah,
that someone sent a Black Widow assassin after us, after me, and you can't be around for this.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's not going to stop her.
No, she didn't give the watch back to him yet, so she still got the watch.
Oh, that's right. She did have the watch. So, what happened to Echo too at that point?
Echo ran away as well.
Okay. So, well, all I know is we got 2 more episodes left. I am fucking jazzed, man. I mean, the show has been so good. I'm bummed that it's only 6 episodes, but what are you gonna do? And I really hope that they put these series out on a Blu-ray or something, because I want to own them separately from just it being on Disney Plus. But that's the thing; they still haven't released like the last 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. either on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, I think I've got 1 through 4, but 5 and 6 haven't been put up yet.
Huh.
And you can watch them on Netflix. I think Netflix is still showing them. But yeah, or was it 6 and 7? I think it might be 6 and 7. Disney is notoriously stingy about it.
Yeah, Disney right now. Disney has no plans to release the Marvel shows on DVD.
It sucks, man. I want to watch them on DVD. I think probably because the main reason is because they just want more and more people to subscribe
Yep.
to Disney Plus.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
That's probably what it is. And they can do that right now. They can get people to subscribe if they want to see the shows. But yeah, so that was pretty much where it ended. Was with that. And I'm looking forward to the next two.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Cannot wait. The last thing I was going to just touch on real quick is yesterday they revealed the new trailer for the new Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie number 3, The Secrets of
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore, and it looks fucking awesome. I gotta say I'm enjoying the hell out of these movies. I think that they're a lot of fun.
My biggest thing is, can you do the movies without Rowling? I mean, are you still supporting her and her homophobia or
her turfness?
Yeah.
That's the drag. From what I understand, she's sold off a lot of the rights to the film rights and stuff. So it's not so much that she's getting, I think she is getting a co-writing credit. So she's probably is getting collecting something of a paycheck. But the thing is, and this is something that I think Will Wheaton actually wrote a big thing about this more recently. There's a lot of other people besides J.K. Rowling that go into the making of these movies. All of the other actors, all of the other writers and producers and directors and those people are actually even paid pretty well. Look at all the special effects guys and the set dressers and the camera operators and all these other people that if you don't go to see the movie, you're not supporting them too. Yeah,
they've already gotten paid at this point. They don't get a cut of the movie.
It's still though, it's by going to see the movie, you're still supporting the business. You're still supporting the fact that,
but you're still supporting her business. They'll make other movies. It doesn't have to be her movies.
Sure, but I mean, like at the same time, like people are all like, okay. In that retrospect too, they talk about the art about it or when they talk about like the previous movies, like watching or buying the previous movies and stuff, and you're like, well, you're doing a disservice to the artists, all of the artists that took part in that movie. You want to respect what they made and what they created. It's more than just her or in fact, honestly, once she wrote the book, the movies, yeah, she made money off of those movies, but a lot more work went into those movies that she did. She did very little actually in comparison to what everybody else did.
I understand that, but it's still her creation. She's still getting something for it. I'll guarantee you she's an executive producer at least on every single movie, which means she gets a cut of every single movie.
I think now, actually, at this point, though, I think she sold off her rights, or she got like her cut, and I think like she doesn't get it anymore, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing you could say about, like people never said that highly negative things about Gene Roddenberry or George Lucas, but you got to consider. Would you still be watching Star Wars shit if George Lucas came out as being a racist? I mean, from what I understand,
yes, she is a producer on Secrets of Dumbledore.
Okay, I think she's a co-writer as well, so I think that's one of the things, because they give her a co-writing credit because it is her setting. But like people talked about, like Gene Roddenberry was apparently a philanderer, like he cheated on his wife.
Okay, that doesn't necessarily make him a horrible person.
Right, exactly. So, but that's the thing. People are like, nobody has said we got to cancel Star Trek because of Gene Roddenberry, or we can't watch Discovery because Gene Roddenberry. One, Gene Roddenberry's dead. Two, I mean, so many other people go into the creation of anything like that. Yes, these people still profit from it, but if people can't stop watching, if people were to completely cancel these movies and stop going to and not seeing these these other movies, these Fantastic Beast movies, they won't get made, and then all of the people that were involved in those movies won't be involved in the sequels, and won't be. It's still a money-making thing, and it's still, by going to see them, you're supporting her, but you're also supporting everybody else, the hundreds, if not thousands, of other people.
And like I said, they'll find other movies. They'll do other movies. They don't have to do those. That's the thing. So I mean, you can argue it both ways. I understand what you're saying, but just because they're making that movie doesn't mean that they wouldn't make another one.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also the idea of, you can support the art without,
but you're not. You can't support the art. You can't support the art now without supporting the artist, because you're paying for it, and she's making money for every ticket that gets sold.
I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion, like, sometimes I just got to separate the art from the artist.
I feel like she is like the one person that made horrible comments that isn't actually having any sort of repercussions for it. And I don't get that.
I don't know, man. It's a tricky thing. I mean, it was kind of a similar kind of thing that everybody dealt with Bill Cosby, and now, granted, Bill Cosby way worse than J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling is just like intolerant of trans people, apparently, or trans women, excuse me. I believe her main thing is that she doesn't feel that trans women should be considered in the same, the same as women. Okay. If that's how she feels, whatever. But a lot of people thought about the same thing of, can we still enjoy Bill Cosby's comedy when it's been outed that he was a serial rapist? People are doing a similar thing to Dave Chappelle, because in one of his last Chappelle special on Netflix, he talked about that he's a bit of a TERF as well. And if you watch it, though, he actually explains out his feelings and his opinions about the situation. And although it's not the greatest, it's not that he is like anti-trans. It was more like, what was it? God, I can't remember what it was.
Well, there's a difference too. So there's a difference too. I feel that comedians have a different standard, or should have a different standard than most other people, because their job is to push that envelope and make people think while making them laugh at the same time. Yeah. Does it always come out great? No. But a lot of them do have that, and I've seen a lot of comedians talk about that too. Jamie Foxx brought that up about I forget who it was that he was talking about, but yeah. Oh, it was he was talking about he was talking about that actors and comedians should have a different standard, because it was on the Rogan podcast, and he was talking about Tropic Thunder and Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface, and he's like, Robert's my boy. I just performed at his birthday party. He's like, I have no problems with what he did there. That was they were in a movie. He's like, I thought it was funny as hell. I thought he killed it in that role.
Yeah, because it was farcical. It was meant to be. It wasn't him doing blackface. It was him playing an actor who was like so full of himself and so full of his quote unquote talent that he felt that he could be a good, He was
such a method actor that he had to change his skin tone for the role.
Yeah, for the role, that he could do that kind of thing. And it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. doing that. It was him playing the character of a guy who was doing that. It was good. I thought anybody trying to cancel RDJ for that was ridiculous. It was a comedy. It was meant to be farcical. It wasn't meant to be treated seriously. So was horse shit. But I mean, Dave Chappelle even goes on to talk about a friend. He made a friend of this trans woman who, because he did some jokes about trans people or something, and she thought that they were hilarious, and she talked about it, came up to him and talked with him after the show about it, and they became friends. And she wanted to become a comedian. And so he gave her the opportunity to open up for him and do some other stuff. And she apparently died because like died on stage. She was like terrible because at first that she was a cut up personally. Like she was really funny to hang out with and really fun person. So he thought that she'd make for a really good comedian, but didn't have an act. She just died. So then he's like, hey, we'll work together and I'll see what I can do about giving you a hand and see if we can help you out. Unfortunately, she did end up taking her life later on. And it devastated him. He was, so I think a lot of people that were canceling him didn't listen to the whole thing. So
but anyway, we've kind of gone on about this.
We have totally gone on. It's way late. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah. We've been at this for almost 2 hours.
I'm tired.
So just to bring it back up real quick for those that may have missed it at the beginning of the show, if you subscribe, we now have another little bonus for you. Not just that you don't get ads on Twitch here, but there is a Discord channel that you are welcome to join, talk with other nerds, talk with us between shows. All you have to do is link your Discord account with your Twitch account, which you can do inside of Discord. And you should see the Nerds with Alcohol show Discord channel in there. Feel free to join it. Say hi to us. It's Russ and I are in there now. So is Renee and Bob from Tavern Nights. So I'm going to talk to the other guys about possibly getting in there as well, just so that we can have some people in there to chat on and off. So if you get the chance, go ahead and subscribe and give that a shot. So
yeah, we'd love to hear from you. It'd be a great way for you guys to kind of contribute, to let us know how you feel about the things we're talking about. If you think I'm a fucking idiot, if you think Chris is a fucking idiot, if you think we're both fucking idiots, we're a bunch of just old nerds that need our opinions adjusted. We are both very open-minded, so if we need our opinions adjused,
just keep listening.
Help me out.
Yeah. If you think we're idiots, but you still listen to us, great.
No, honestly, we were just talking about the trans issues and stuff. We're a couple of middle-aged white guys, got a couple of cis-het middle-aged white dudes from America. We didn't know fuck all, so if you got like a different
we got opinions.
We do have opinions. I don't know how good they are.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. They all stink.
So be happy to, I'd love to hear about what you guys think and how you guys think. And you can also contact us on Facebook as well to just tell us what you think. I'm always happy to hear.
Yeah, so there's Bob on there. I've been listening to Chris for how many years now? About 30?
Probably too many.
Yeah, about 30.
Exactly.
Hey, CD just joined the Discord channel.
Hey, great. We hope you brought pizza. Welcome to the party, kid. All right, so guys, thanks for joining us tonight on episode 255.
Oh, that reminds me. You say welcome to the party. I just did the welcome to the party, pal, in there. I'm like, I got to watch my favorite Christmas movie this week.
Yeah, I gotta do the same. Stella's never seen Ghostbusters, so I gotta have her watch that before we go and see the new one. And then
I actually just want to watch that again.
It's great. It's a fucking great movie. But then also she's never seen Die Hard, and she's a huge fan of Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, how can you never seen? There you go. Thank you, Grimbolt. How can you have never seen Die Hard? Holy shit. Oh, Bob, let me know, like when we're sitting down a game, we'll figure out a symbol for Grimbolt, and I'm drawing at the next game this Friday.
But anyway, we should probably start wrapping up.
Wrap things up. Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. You can find us in all the places you can find quality podcasting, guys. We're on the Google Play Store. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and radio.com. iHeartRadio. We still in iHeartRadio?
I think so. Yeah.
iHeartRadio as well. And you can also download and stream all of our episodes at www.nerdswithalcoholshow.com. Guys, every 8 o'clock every Tuesday night here on Drinking Nerds on Twitch. Chris also puts up the episodes a couple of days later on YouTube.
Yep. And then this Friday at 7:30, we are playing Tavern Nights. It'll be our last game for the year. We'll be taking the next 2 weeks off because they're holidays. And
Right.
I'm not doing a game on New Year's Eve. So we'll be back probably the following week, the first week in January. So,
Right.
but yeah, so remember, you can also follow us on most of the social medias. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show, Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds, and now if you subscribe here, you can follow us on Discord as well. So
Yep. Yeah. Do it.
do it. So everyone, I hope you all have a good week. Remember, big things this Friday. It's a huge day because it's our show, and
It's our show, yes.
There's a couple other things going on that we talked about.
Witcher and Spider-Man.
Yeah, but those don't matter. It's Tavern Nights that everyone wants.
Yeah, whatever. And everybody go get your booster shot. Go get your fucking booster shot. Go get your booster shot. Go get your booster shot. Get vaccinated. God damn it.
One of us. Don't be Russ. That's what Bob said.
Listen, butthead, I got my vaccinated probably before all of y'all.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna about do it.
That should do it.
On that note.
Until next time.
Slancha.
That
was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.